Although trading is closed on the 12th of April, 2023, as always, we'll do our disclaimer, go over our calls, and make some predictions. It's my trading plan for Thursday, which is April 13th, 2023. Remember, my calls can be wrong and trade at your own risk. Look for the pattern with the early high, which is this. Tends to have a late low. We got that. Tomorrow should also have the early high. We said there was a good likelihood of a gap at the open, a large gap. We got that. We said if the gap were down, it should have legs, but the gap wasn't down. I didn't have a call if the gap were higher. And I said I couldn't really predict a response to the CPI report, which came out before today's open. I also can't predict with a great degree of accuracy the response to the PPI, Producer Price Index report, comes out before tomorrow's open, but I'll do the best I can. We have an old target, 41.2627. That gets hit, so it's crossed off the list. This isn't only a target, it's also support resistance. Look at resistance right at that price. Market never forgets those numbers. We have new targets for tomorrow, 41.2325 and 41.2728. We've come close enough to the higher targets, so it doesn't have to print, but it almost always will. And because we have different kinds of optional targets, we're not going to cross this one off the list if it doesn't print tomorrow. It's a reminder of what we said. We gapped up, we're flying high. Right here, MEJT said ultimately lower prices were going to print. They did. Didn't say it would drop this low, but it didn't say it wouldn't. Just says don't get excited about the long side. Now says this drop is false, gives us these targets. Again, if this is a major change in trend, you almost always aren't going to see those print. Of course, we don't know if this is a major change in trends or not. Just a word of caution, whenever there's a new high in this trend, and you see these targets, you always have to consider the possibility they won't print in their preferred time frame. It's particularly true when you hit a new high, close in the red, undercut all kinds of prior highs, even prior lows, in all of yesterday's move. If it's maintained at tomorrow's open, if it's maintained, that's negative stuff. It's also negative the high of day came in the first 5 minutes and low of day in the last. That's pretty much a killer unless we gap up smartly tomorrow. Well, tomorrow's pattern has the early high, could still gap down. PPI comes out before the open, can lead to a large gap. I don't have a sufficiently accurate way of predicting the response to it. That being said, we have a higher targets. Unless we gap down sharply, the rules call for them to print. But these targets will often fail the trend extreme, so they might not work. They'll print eventually. They just are more likely to fail tomorrow. Doesn't mean they will, it just means that they could. The high of day was the first 5 minutes bar, the low of day and last. It's a negative pattern. Should lead to lower prices regardless of how we close. Today's new trend extreme is followed by a negative close, undercut a number of prior highs. There's negative stuff if it's maintained at tomorrow's open. So tomorrow has early high. The bulls are going to have to prove a lot, because if they don't gap up smartly, we're going to see lower prices, and this is still a possible end of the move. I can make the fibs work for this, and when you have consolidations like this, I can make them work for almost anything. But this is negative stuff. Bulls need to gap higher, and what happens in response to PPI, I don't know. But that's today's call.